Oh, I've been looking forward to this one. Let's get these parts poured out. See, I learned from the shadowed one. I'm doing them this way. If I do it like this, nothing escapes. Hope that will run out of shot. Let's just put that over here. And time lapse. Okay, and here we have Makuta Pterodex, Terry Boy himself, the biggest flat earther on the island of Metru Nui. So, let's adjust that grip slightly. So, one downside is that for whatever reason, yeah, this top axle piece, you probably saw me flipping it around at the end of the time lapse, is off tolerance and kind of wibbly, as you can see by how it wibbles. So its staff has some wobble issues as a side effect of this. However, speaking of the staff, just taking him back a little to get it all the way in shot, I wish I could take credit for this, but Tributron's take on Nadiki used an absolutely ingenious trick with the martyr hand, and was to convert between a scythe and a spear, and I figured, hey, I could adapt that trick to not quite work properly. Hold on. So his staff can easily convert between the two modes seen in the movie. Without any part swapping, any complex mechanisms, or anything like that. Speaking of the movie, you probably noticed this is bring him in a little. This is King K's movie style Krakan that he's wearing, which is real damn good looking on this guy. Scales perfectly with the build, if you ask me. Works out quite well, really. And just a nod to his appearance in Legends of Metru Nui, aka the best Bionicle film, Do Not At Me. He has the remains of one of the wings that he lost in a later story that I forget which one. So, articulation then. He kind of has a lot, actually. He's got fairly standard arms, in that you got like the shoulder and the elbow, full ball joint and sort of hinge joint respectively. You got full wrist, and then fingers have 1 point of articulation there, and then one on each of the other fingers. So we can form an open hand pretty easily. You can get a closed fist, as you can see on this side. And you can very easily adjust the armor out slightly so that he is reaching for the camera in what would make for a pretty good thumbnail. Let's just fold the wing remains out of the way so that I'm away for it. And yeah, that's probably the thumbnail right there. Anyway, where was I? So, articulation then, yeah. The wing, you got 1 point at the base, one at the tip, and then this can rotate, which isn't really any use. And mostly I just used the middle joint on the CCBS piece just to get that in the right spot. You have ball joint at the base of the neck, ball joint and the swivel at the top of the neck, all of which kind of combines to give him a very expressive range of motion. Sorry, just adjusting his hand. It's also then, you have a sort of two-part ab crunch here, where the bottom part hinges and the top part hinges separately, meaning that if you want to, you can add like an extra little bit to his height at the cost of throwing his center of balance off. However, you can compensate for that by extending the double knee joints. And suddenly you have a much taller, albeit less stable, Pterodex. Even with the friction extender, one of these hips does not like to cooperate, and I'm not sure what the deal is with that. The friction should be extended, it just does not want to be. So, knees then. Actually, let's re-crunch the torso. This, of course, also functions as an ab crunch. And you can't really get any meaningful swivel out of it, but, you know, you got plenty of articulation here to begin with. You got, yeah, ab crunch both directions on separate joints. So, hips. I'll admit they're a little odd, but then again, you know, limited by design. Double jointed knee. One of these lift arm pieces I will be replacing at my earliest convenience. I think it's in this leg. Yeah, as you can see, there is a huge crack. It's out of focus. So, yeah, huge crack that, you know, would have been nice if I didn't have to deal with that. It's stable enough for the time being. I can just leave the legs fully scrunched, and it's fine. It's fine, don't look at him, he's fine. So, aside from that, ankles, as you'd expect, work like ankles. Yeah, he's got a lot of joints, a lot of really expressive posing options that I'm not good at getting him into. Well, why are you trying to fall over? Yeah, sorry, his centre of balance is a little weird. I'm still getting used to that. So, if you give me a couple minutes to grab some things to compare him to, I'll be right back with a size comparison. Okay, so, size comparison. Let's start things off with official stuff. Here he is with a regular Metru build and a regular Mata build. Yeah, that feels okay in both cases. Oh yeah, just for good measure, here he is with himself. As you can see, he is a little bit bigger than him. You know, he comes up to like almost double knee. Now, one of the fun stuff is how he scales with my Mata build. As you can see, a bit taller at the head. Head is about in line with the shoulder armour. He's a lot wider though and a lot bulkier, so it feels about right to me. Let's move this boy out the way. Move you out the way. And bring in movie style Vakama. And this might end up being my display for these guys, to be honest. It's Vakama with the Mask of Time. Makuta with one of his wings. I mean, if you want to do both wings, it's easy enough. The build's relatively easy to mirror. I'm sure you can figure out something for the rest of it. Just, I guess slap another one of these on there, another one of those, and then whatever on the tip. We can get some proper wings on the go for this guy. But, you know, I prefer the old school version, but not like, you know, the old school one. So, that, I believe, covers this guy. And I will see you next week for... yeah, let's say Ndiki next. Actually, no, let's say Shadow One. I'll figure that out later. Anyway, this has been Lucas Builds. Instructions of this guy will be up tomorrow, as per usual for these things. And I will see you at some point with another build that probably won't be as cool as this, I will admit, because, you know, just fucking look at this guy. God damn.